Hello and welcome to From Digital to D&D. In this series, a character from fiction is taken and given a usable stat block for you to use in your games of Dungeons & Dragons. For those of you unaware, each episode of this series will be broken down into the following sections. The character introduction, where I attempt to explain the background of the character. The feature breakdown, where I point out what aspects of the character I'll be attempting to convert. The stat block, where the stat block is shown off and certain elements are discussed. And finally, the plot hooks, where I explain possible uses for the character in your games of D&D. Naturally, any character that features in this series belongs to their respective owners. A frightening entity has formed today, which has the potential to render a world barren, the only thing remaining being the Eternal Tempest. Behold the primary antagonist of Minecraft story mode, the Witherstorm. The Witherstorm is a cataclysmically mutated wither. A normal wither is a destructive undead that seeks to kill anything it can find. The Witherstorm is far, far worse. The first Witherstorm ever created was intentionally unleashed by a disgruntled former member of the Order of the Stone, Ivor. Ivor originally meant to use the Witherstorm as a form of intimidation, but the monster quickly grew out of his control and avoided his contingencies to kill it. With no means of stopping the Witherstorm, it began to consume everything around it, drawing in blocks and mobs alike. With each entity consumed, the storm grew larger and larger. Within minutes, it grew to almost 10 times its size and spawned new heads and tentacles as it pulled in more and more. The outer layer of the Witherstorm was impervious to harm, and within an hour the city it spawned in was consumed. A team of heroes led by Jesse were forced to find any help they could to stop the Witherstorm as it began to grow so large that it blotted out the setting sun. The storm pursued Jesse across the world, drawn to the amulet he carried, and nothing stopped its advance. The storm was thought destroyed when blown up by the Formidable, but the command block, the heart of the storm, survived. Within seconds, the command block resurrected the Witherstorm and began its rampage anew. There was only one way to kill it: destroy the command block. Destroying this powerful artifact was not easy, as the only thing that can contest the power of a command block is its own power. By infusing a weapon with the powers of the command block, the command block was shattered, and with it, the Witherstorm. The Witherstorm was not an entity, but rather a force of nature. It had the power to rend the world devoid of life, and if not for the actions of the new Order of the Stone, it would have done so. You know a monster is truly dangerous when its mere existence makes the hostile hell dimension of the Nether safer in comparison. The Witherstorm shares its base attributes with a wither. Both are created with soul sand and wither skeleton skulls. Both are undead. Both can fire flaming skulls that explode on impact. The difference lies in the commander block acting as its heart. This artifact can alter reality itself, and with this power, the Witherstorm is more like a god of destruction. Its projectiles are much stronger and able to create massive craters on impact. As it grows, the Witherstorm creates a skin of obsidian, making it immune to all forms of conventional weaponry. The tentacles it sprouts are incredibly strong, able to break through obsidian as if it were made of paper. Once the Witherstorm grows its enlarged heads, each singular eye on each head projects a purple tractor beam, able to pull anything in. This beam is how the Witherstorm absorbs mobs and blocks alike to further add to its mass. At least those who aren't swept up by the powerful winds. It can absorb matter by just pulling it in, or biting it with its enlarged maw each head has. But that is not the Witherstorm's most deadly weapon. Those who are exposed to the Witherstorm for too long are inflicted with wither sickness, a deadly disease. This disease is incurable whilst the Wither Storm lives, and only the death of the storm can cure the disease. When first inflicted, the victim will feel fatigued and a patch of their veins will turn purple. But as the disease grows, the victim will grow weaker and weaker until they eventually perish. That is not all. The truly unfortunate who have been inflicted with wither sickness for a prolonged period of time develop amnesia. All of this power comes from the command block, which must be destroyed for the Wither Storm to fall. If the Wither Storm is slain, but the command block remains, it will regenerate and mutate. These mutations help prevent this type of death from happening again, meaning a Wither Storm could become invincible if it is exposed to powerful weaponry that it can survive. The Wither Storm only has a few weaknesses, and only one of which is a vulnerability. Entities that can teleport, such as Endermen, can escape the tractor beam with ease. Speaking of Endermen, their special power to remove any block also means they can hurt the Wither Storm by peeling back its obsidian skin. The true weakness of the Wither Storm is also its greatest strength, the command block. If the command block is destroyed, the Wither Storm is destroyed with it. Destroying this powerful artifact is not easy, however. The command block is immune to all forms of weaponry and tools, the only thing able to harm it being its own power. A weapon infused with the power of the command block can shatter it, but first you must access the heart of the storm. Once inside the central chamber, the command block lies there, but if it knows it is under threat, it will unleash the defences of the chamber. Tentacles, Wither Storm heads, and much more will all fight to protect the command block. The Wither Storm is an apocalyptic threat, the only good thing about it being that it is near impossible to make. When making the Wither Storm, I faced a colossal challenge. I had to make an apocalypse into a stat sheet. Of course, you are more than welcome to look through this ginormous sheet at your own pace, but there is a lot I want to highlight here. Add in that I wanted to really push the boat by not having legendary reactions, and I definitely made this harder than I needed to, but I am happy with the result. The Wither Storm is near impervious to harm, as it resists all forms of damage with a few exceptions. Force, radiant, and psychic damage can harm the storm, as well as any damage from an artifact. Since its skin is made of obsidian, it is immune to normal weaponry and boasts an AC on par with the Tarrasque. Add in that it has a hit point average of 791 with a possible maximum of 1171 hit points, this thing will not go down through normal means. Whilst it may not have legendary resistances, its immutable existence trait helps make up for that. Polymorphing the Wither or banishing it simply doesn't work. Like any other monster with multiple heads, it's harder to inflict with certain conditions, but each head does have a weakness. If at least 10 damage is dealt to an eye on the head, then that head must make a Constitution saving throw or be blinded for a short time, giving you a window to escape. Of course, killing the Wither Storm is impossible whilst the command block lives, as it constantly regenerates health. The two most important traits are the Consuming Storm and Tractor Beams. The Consuming Storm is a perpetual storm around the monster that inflicts debuffs and can inflict a creature with wither sickness. The Tractor Beams work like a beholder's main eye in that the Wither Storm can choose where one beam points every turn. Anything in the beam will have to fight hard to escape, as it's pulled close to the Wither Storm each turn. And it needs to break free fast or risk either falling from a great height or being bitten by one of the giant heads. The Wither Storm may not have a great output of damage in its actions, but its passive effects are far worse as it erodes the vitality of anything nearby. Wither sickness is a vital part of the Wither Storm, and it has been expanded into a multi-stage magical disease. It is incurable whilst the storm lives unless you have a wish spell. Greater Restoration only slows the disease, which starts off with one level of exhaustion but grows far worse with each passing stage. Stage 2 adds more levels of exhaustion, Stage 3 has a high risk of memory loss, and Stage 4 makes the victim one failed save away from death due to exhaustion. Whilst the rules are there, I would be careful in inflicting wither sickness on a party who can't combat it. The wither storm also has an optional reaction: split. As seen in Minecraft story mode, the wither storm can split itself into more versions of itself if its body is split apart. With this variant option, you can include this gut punch to hammer home how impossible to fight this thing is. But there is one final part to mention: the layer. For the first time in this series, we have a layer and layer actions, though they work differently from the norm. The layer is the very centre of the wither storm where the command block resides. The command block is vulnerable here, but it can only be harmed by another artifact. The chamber has several defences, including a floating island, tentacles, wither storm heads, and infected creatures the wither storm can unleash to fight the intruders. The wither storm won't just sit by either. The wither storm's layer actions will make the encounter even harder as it fights to defend the command block. But if you can push through, the storm can be dispelled for good. The wither storm is restrictive in its use as it only has one purpose: destruction. The most obvious use of the wither storm is to have it serve as the antagonistic force of the narrative, just like it was in Minecraft story mode. You could have the story play out similarly, with the party present for the birth of the wither storm, and the whole campaign then evolves around finding a way to stop it. The wither storm is a living apocalypse, and you should use that. Really hammer it home the devastation it can cause. The early parts of the adventure can be avoiding the storm and learning about it before moving on to ways to kill it. Every time the party think they have the upper hand, the wither storm arrives to bring ruin. Its impending presence alone makes the mobs of Minecraft run in terror, and perhaps you should have the monsters of your world do the same. If you want to have the wither storm already formed, you could start the story with the party being under attack by some monsters, maybe ogres or goblins. After the party deal with the threat, they learn the monsters weren't attacking, they were running away. The party could try to investigate and find the next village over devoid of life. Following the trail, the party spots a monster of impossible size on the horizon, so large it blots out the setting sun. Perhaps they find a survivor, but they're infected with a ravenous disease the party cannot treat. In their quest to learn more, the party must venture close to the storm, maybe to collect a sample of some kind whilst avoiding the gaze of the three-headed cataclysm. After some time, the party learn the only way they can kill this thing is to find artifacts. But wherever they go, the storm is not far behind, as if it knows the other artifacts of the world are its only threat. The culmination of the adventure would, of course, take place within the heart of the storm, with the party fighting against the command block. But you could use the wither storm more sparingly. Perhaps the party are plane hopping and they find a barren world. At least they think it's barren until the only entity left comes for them as it senses new life. You could have the adventure revolve around stopping the wither storm ever being made, a mad cult trying to build the monster. It may be somewhat singular in its use, but the wither storm performs its job with horrifying effectiveness. But with that, we've reached the end of today's video. Before you head off, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you managed to get something out of this. The stat block for the Wither Storm is available on D&D Beyond for free, and the link to it is in the description. I hope you all have a great day, and may your dice roll favourably. Goodbye for now.